Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So I've been doing this for years, and I kind of contemplated if I really wanted to do this or not this year, but I thought I might as well since I've done it like every other year. And it's kind of a nice thing to look back because I have read a lot this year, a lot more than I normally do. I mean, again, I am counting everything that I read, including manga, and a lot of years I did not count those in my numbers. So, I mean, I've read a lot of books this year, and it's really funny because it's one of those years where I've had a lot of 3 and 4 star reads, and I haven't had as many wins. I've had a lot of great time reading certain series because I read a lot of series. So I think I still am having a great time. It's just I haven't had as many 5-star blowouts as I like that are just fantastic. So hopefully in the second half of the year, so we will see. So anyway, I will have the questions listed down below since the creators are no longer around, but I've kind of changed or dropped a few of the ones that I don't care about, and we're just gonna do the ones that I like. Anyway, so question number 1 is best book you've read so far this year. So as I said, I haven't had too many 5-star reads, but my favorite so far is Reticence by Gail Carriger. This is the 4th and final book in the Custard Protocol series. I adored this book. I mean, I liked the other books in this series, but this one was just perfect, like in so many ways, of all the characters coming together and things that are happening with the main people that we know from the first book of this series, which is Prudence. And I just adored this. I liked the couple that got together and their how they were together, and the traveling in here back in, this is a steampunk urban fantasy, and they're traveling around in a dirigible on missions. It's just great. It's just a fun ride. They're funny. They make me laugh. This one made me cry at one point, so this is one of the books that made me cry. But I'm just going to point out here, this is my favorite book so far this year, and I'm so glad that I finally got to it and I finally finished this series. I just don't know why that took me so long, but I just adored that book. So if you like funny steampunk urban fantasy with some romance mixed in, a lot of adventure and just funny hijinks, they're just hilarious. I would pick up that series or the Parasol Protectorate, which is the first one series, which just starts with Solace. Anyway, just love that book. Question number 2 is best sequel you've read so far. Another one of my 5-star reads is Archangel's Lineage by Nalini Singh. Is anybody surprised? No, probably not. But I adored this one in the series. This is like the series is getting to the point where I'm pretty sure she's going to wrap it up at some point. I'm hoping we get a couple more books, but I'm not sure. This book, there was so much in it. And again, it's another book that made me cry at the end because of certain things that happened. This one is definitely a book you cannot read out of the series. Oh, I don't remember what number it is. It is pretty far in the series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think this is 16. I love this series. It starts with Angel's Blood, which I think is the weakest book of the series, but is the first book getting to know a world where there are archangels, angels, and vampires, and there are humans, and there are certain humans who have what are called hunter abilities, who pretty much protect the main populace from vampires and things like that. We are following Elena and Raphael through this whole series, and then certain books follow different couples, but they are the main characters in this series, and they get books pretty often that are following mostly them, and this is one of those. And the things that happen in this one where the world is just not going well, you know, just things going on and so much stuff going on. I just love this series. It's just one of my favorite urban fantasy series with a lot of romance in it, but I just love this book, and it was so good. Best sequel this year. So number 3 is new release you haven't read yet but want to. I've been wanting to read this since I got it, and that is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I just adore these. I bought it on kind of a whim. I pre-ordered it like the week before it came out, but it's a release that I really wanted to read, and I haven't got to it yet. I almost read it in June, but I read another Norse mythology or Norse inspired book, so I thought I'd put it off and maybe get to this next month, but we'll see. I really want to get to this. It's the first book in the saga of the Unfated. I've heard really good things about this fantasy romance, about a woman who has a touch of, I don't know, kind of god blood or something. She has some kind of blood, goddess blood, and she is being used in certain situations due to that fact, because who has her has power, kind of thing, I think. And I just want to read it. I've heard so many good things about it, but it's one I haven't got to yet that I pre-ordered. I want to get to that. Number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I'm going to say 2 because I think it's pretty obvious what they are. The first one is Primal Mirror by Nalini Singh, which is book, I don't even know, 22? I should look up my series number, but you know what? I just love the book so much, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I think it's 22. Yeah, I think it's 22. Anyway, I don't know. It's 22, 23, I don't know. In the Side Changeling series, this is a series that follows humans, shifters, and people with psychic abilities who are vying for power in this world, a futuristic world, about 50 years in our future kind of thing, but it's alternate history. There's a lot of, it's definitely paranormal romance in the way that they're a different couple most are with every book, and the world just expands and expands. This is a glorious series altogether. I do definitely have favorite books. I reread this series every year. I reread most of it, if not parts of it. It is definitely one of my favorite series, and I am looking forward to book whatever the book number this is, and it is coming out in July, so I get to read this fairly soon. Sorry about that, my brother just texted me because we're gonna get Taco Bell later. Anyway, the other one that is a anticipated release is one that I am super excited for, because it is the end of a series, which again, I'm going to do a reread here in the last half of the year. I guess I'll talk about that in a little bit, but The Navigators Children by Tad Williams comes out. This is book 4 in the Last King of Ostenard series. I am so excited for this epic fantasy series. It's going to hurt me that it's going to be over, but I'm figuring this book is going to be epic. It's of course huge. I mean, I don't even know how many pages this one is. 750 is pretty good for for a hardback, but it's a series that is the continuation from Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, which is the first trilogy that I just adore, is my favorite epic fantasy series. So the Ostenard world continues with this one, and I am looking forward to that one. Comes out, it looks like November 12th. So it'll be later in the year, but I'll be doing rereads before that. Number 5 is my biggest disappointment. Oh, that's in a different section, sorry. My biggest disappointment, and I don't think I really expected it to be good, but I would say it has my lowest rating that I gave this year so far, and that is The Egg and Other Stories by Andy Weir. I just found this kind of ridiculous, and I didn't really like it. I did listen to it on audio, free, off of my Audible Plus membership. So it was just, they were sci-fi stories, but they were kind of weird stories, and they just didn't do anything for me. And I'm not a big short story fan anyway, but I really disliked that book. I didn't really like it. So number 6 is Biggest Surprise, and I'm going to say A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvie Catherell. This is a book that, again, I pre-ordered kind of on a whim. I wasn't going to order this, and then I pre-ordered it during some sale. And when I got it, I was like, oh, I need to read that. And I didn't get to it until June. And this was fantastic. I really had a great time with this. This is following a few people who are trying to figure out what happened to their missing relatives. They, in an epistolary form, they are gathering all the data, all the messages back and forth, and things that they can find from what happened to something bad that happens that we find out about in the end of the book. I'm really excited for the continuation of this series. I don't know if it's going to be more than another one book or two. It's the Sunken Archive, so I don't know. I'm excited at least for book 2. I don't know when that's going to come out, but this was a great book that I really, really enjoyed. I didn't expect to enjoy it quite that much. I was just enraptured, and I just really enjoyed it. So that would be my biggest surprise, I think, so far this year. Favorite new author, debut, or new to you? I'm going to go with a new to you because she has quite a few books out, but her first traditionally published book, or her recently traditionally published book that I read as an indie published was Cant Spell Tea, Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. I adored this book, and it definitely makes me want to read more books by this author. I just adored this cozy fantasy about two women who are, one's a guard for a royal guard who wants to get away, and mage who they want to start a life somewhere else with different responsibilities, and they want to open up a tea and book shop. And it's just their journey of things that happen and how they get pulled into certain things in the community, as well as stuff with the countries due to their positions. So I just really enjoyed this sapphic romance fantasy. It was just a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for book 2. And so that's why I put her in a new favorite author, because I already have book 2 pre-ordered, and I'm ready to read. It's a pirate's life for tea or something like that. I'm really excited. Anyway, I really enjoyed that. Number 8 is newest fictional crush. So I always just laugh at the way that this talks about, but I'm gonna say Nathan from the cheat sheet. I just adored him. He was just so cinnamon roll. Like, he's a football player, and he like takes care of the guys he on his team, and his best friend Bree. And then it's a friends to lovers book, which is not one of my favorites, except this one I thought was really well done, and I really enjoyed it because it was the first 5-star book of this year. But I adore Nathan, and I'm gonna put him. There could be others that I'm just not thinking of right now, but he's the one I thought about. I like him. 9, newest favorite character is this is, sorry, I have to pull it up. So it's in a collection. It's a character that we meet at the end of the Iron Druid series. So I don't want to say too much, but just, it's a sloth called Slow-Mo. I love Slow-Mo. It's my favorite character. She was so cute. I just loved her with the stories that she was in. She was so adorable. So she's my newest favorite character. Yep. Number 10 is a book that made you cry. Now, I've mentioned a lot of my favorite books this year made me cry. There's only been 4 or 5 that have made me cry. But one that did was The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. So there's a couple of things in here twice that I cried. It was very touching and very realistic in what happened. Like, as in, I could understand why she was sad and I was sad, so I was sad for her. Anyway, really, but I enjoyed that. Even though I cried. A book that made you happy. So I'm actually going to go for, it's kind of a reread, but not. It's Clean Sweep, the graphic novel, volume 1 by Alona Andrews. So it's the Innkeeper Chronicles. And again, I read the whole series with Tia at Genres and Journals. And a couple of years ago, we read the whole, or last year, the year before last, we read all of the Innkeeper Chronicles that are out, but they made a graphic novel out of the first book, out of a part of that first book. And I just adored this. It was so cool to go back to this book and see it in a graphic novel form. And it just made me happy. I smiled all the way through just because I knew it was coming. And I was so excited, of what happened, what we got to see. I already want to reread this. I just adored that. So that was a book that just made me happy. Number 12 is the most beautiful book you bought so far this year or received. Again, A Fate, Inked in Blood is one of my favorite ones. The other one I just adore is The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind. Again, another book I really want to read, but it's got really pretty straight edges, end papers, and it has this beautiful hardcover. Anyway, so this is probably the prettiest, and it's pretty close. I love both of those. They're really, really pretty. I don't know anything about this yet because I haven't read it yet. So I know that this has to do with monsters in a New York City setting, so I'm guessing alternate history, urban fantasy, and this gifted thief is trying to break the treaty, the monster treaty, so I'm not sure, but she goes to the library, I think she runs into the monster that's there. I don't know. Gonna read it soon, I'm hoping. So that gets to number 13, which is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I want to read The Wren in the Holly Library. I want to read A Fate Inked in Blood. I'm going to reread the whole Last King of Osternaard series, so I have to reread The Witchwood Crown, Empire of Grass, and then read for the first time, and Brothers of the Wind, which is the novella. And then I have to read for the first time Into the Narrow Dark. I put that off because I was waiting for the last book. And then, as I said, Navigators Children's coming out in November. So I want to finish out this series this year. And I just need to reread the first and second book and the novella. 2.5. And then I'll read the last book. So this is a priority in the later part of the year. And then I have so many pre-orders. So right now my pre-orders, I have a lot of pre-orders that I've gotten already this year, but I have read 52% of them, or 53% I think of them. So that's pretty good for me. I'm not usually that good at reading my pre-orders when I get them. So, so for the first 6 months I did fairly well. I'd like to be at least that same by the end of the year, but we will see what happens. So that is my mid-year freakout tag, book freakout tag. If you have done this, what were your answers to some of the questions? Let me know. Or if you don't want to do it and just want to tell me, that'd be great too. If you want to do it, go ahead and use these questions to do it as well. This is just a fun way to look at the mid-year. I'm hoping to do kind of a mid-year check-in kind of thing about some stats and some other things to do with some of the challenges that I feel like I've started for myself without even knowing I did. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so I might do kind of a mid-year look at the books I've read and what I hope to change or maybe keep doing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let me know what your favorite book of the year has been so far, and I will see you later. Bye.